Welcome back to the STEM Girls, and what better way to start a video than with a nice fresh cup of tea. Hi, so for most of us it's almost the end of summer, and that can only mean one thing. It's time to go back to school. Now, for a lot of us it's a pretty big year. To be on top of everything and to have that A grade on lock, we need to start from the beginning of the year and work consistently throughout the year. But I've actually seen a trend that goes on with myself and a lot of my peers, and being the scientist that I am, I decided to make a chart out of it. So in this chart you can see that our motivation is really high at the start of the year, and as the year goes by our motivation decreases rapidly, and we're only motivated towards the end of the year where we kind of have to be. I don't really have a solution for fixing that level of motivation, because it's like with everything, we're motivated more at the start. You can say the same for New Year's, that's when the gyms are the busiest, or with relationships, at the start is when people put the most effort in, and we all usually think that okay, this year is going to be the year for us, so we're going to revise extra hard, it's going to be different. But as the year goes by and we miss deadlines and we miss assignments and we just get bored, so our motivation level decreases. It's not really a good thing to be motivated at the start of the year, because there's not a lot of work to do and that motivation usually just goes to waste. So a solution I have for that is do the most work during that period of time, even if it means you have to go ahead. Get yourself organised, know the course, read ahead, start making notes ahead, so that when you're in that dry period where you just cannot be bothered doing any work, you'll feel so much better knowing that you don't have that much pressure on yourself. That would be my first piece of advice. Do the most work at the start of the year, and obviously when it's exam time you'll be forced to work, so you'll have no choice because you've got an exam coming up. So I feel like that works a lot for me. Another thing I would tell you to look at the start of the year are past papers. Now some of you might be thinking, wait, hold up, why on earth are we going to do past papers when we don't know any of the material, we don't know any of the questions, and it literally just go over my head? Well, the whole point of looking at past papers, even before you've done the material, is that you get a kind of gist of what's coming up on your course. You become more aware of what type of questions they're going to ask, and you also have a brief idea of what topics you're going to be questioned on. What was really good for me about looking past papers right at the start of the year was one of my modules had options in the past papers, meaning that we weren't getting tested on each of the topics and we had a choice of answering 4 questions out of 6. That means that the hardest modules you don't have to revise. You just, again, so much more relaxed knowing that okay, the hardest topic I don't have to revise or concentrate on. And if you know that at the start of the year, you're not revising unnecessary material and you're not putting a lot of effort into things that aren't necessary. Another thing that I think is really useful is looking at the spec at the start of the year. This would just go hand in hand with the motivational chart, where you do the most work at the start of the year. Now again, looking at the spec gives you a gist of what's going on. As well as that, I feel like the spec should be the backbone of your revision notes, so you should actually revolve your revision notes around your spec. And I feel like the good thing about that is that you don't miss anything and you don't really make notes on things that aren't really necessary, because a lot of lecturers or teachers and even textbooks give you extra information, and it's good for getting that background knowledge, but you don't need to memorize it and you won't get tested on it, so there's no point making notes on it. That's why with the spec, everything that's in the spec you may get tested on, and anything that's not on the spec you 100% know you won't get tested on. Another thing that I think would be really helpful is just reading a textbook on your subject, so you just get, again, that background knowledge. And again, this isn't hard as well if you just dedicate 10 pages a day where you just read it and you're actually ahead of your class, so that when you do go into lectures or seminars or your lessons, you have an idea of what the teacher's talking about. What I found with myself is that I just zone out in lectures because I just could not understand what was going on, and that was because I was going into lectures without reading anything and without being prepared. And especially if you're in a hard, fast-paced subject, within 2 weeks you cover a lot of material, and before you know it, you're behind. And the thing is, if you're behind, if you feel like you're behind, you'll automatically be more demotivated and you're more likely to give up, because you're just like, what's the point? I'm already so behind. There's no point even going into lectures anymore because I just don't understand them. So you would just rather stay at home or rather just not do the work. There's loads of textbooks online. All you have to do is type in your subject and write PDF after it, and you just find so many links to so many books that are free online that you can just briefly look at. Even if you read for like say 15 minutes, that still can cover a lot of material, or enough material so that when you are in lessons, kind of have an idea of what's going on. Another key thing that you can do at the start of the year is start organising your different modules and subjects. So if you start printing out the spec, or if you start getting worksheets, start putting them in different folders and files. Something that I like to do and that I find is really helpful is just putting them in these bright colourful files, and each module or each subject for some of you guys are a different colour. I find these to be a lot more practical than those big folders. It's because they're really hard to carry, especially if you have like lessons on a couple of different subjects in a day. And usually cuter bags are a lot more smaller than bigger, so I'd rather have a cuter bag and just stuff these inside it than lugging around some big chunky hideous things. Another good thing is just getting those A4 size school notebooks and just writing all your notes on that, because I always lose my notes if they're on a separate piece of paper. I just don't know how. No matter how hard I try to keep them in my folder, they end up getting muddled up and it's just a whole big mess. So I like to keep all my lecture notes written in classroom sized workbook rather than on separate sheets of paper, because that's just chaos. There's actually just chaos for me, and it's just so much stress. So I'd advise you to do that if you're really disorganised with your notes in general. Another thing that I got is this cute little planner, just to write down what's going on, what assignments I have, what lectures I have, all of that good stuff. I got it off Amazon pretty cheap. I'll put the link in below. The thing with planners is I usually forget to use them. And the thing with me is I buy a planner at the start of every year. I don't know if you're the same. Forget I even have a planner, so it ends up being at the bottom of one of my drawers, and I end up finding it like at the end of the year, and I'm just like, oh wait, I actually had a planner. I should have used that planner. So what I'm going to do is always keep it on my desk, always keep it in sight. So I'm kind of forcing myself to use it. And hopefully I will use my planner this year, because it just makes you so much more organised when you know what assignments are due in, what work you have to do this week, and you can just plan ahead. And again, this is what this video is all about, planning ahead at the start of the year, just to make it a lot easier for exam time. And that's what I think our aim should be, to do the least amount of work possible during exam time. So we've done all the other stuff that we can do as early as possible, because a lot of times it's been like when my deadline for an assignment is like 2 days away from an exam, and I'm just like, wait, what do I do now? Which one should I do first? What should I dedicate more time to? So hopefully with this planner I'll be reminded that I actually have an assignment due in, and I'll do it way before. Okay, so it's not really time for exams, so I'm not exactly going to tell you how to revise. What I think is a really good thing to do before you start doing any sort of work is not to do it by time, but to do it by the actual work that you do. Some people plan out their work by saying, okay, let me do 2 hours of maths and then 2 hours of English, when in reality the actual work that they actually do is not really a lot, and they actually spend more time just wasting it on Facebook or on whatever. Or when people say, oh, I've spent all day at the library, has it actually been a productive day at the library, or have you just been talking to people, messing around and just wasting time? What I would recommend before starting any piece of work is to say, okay, English, I'm going to read X amount of pages tonight, or for maths I'm going to finish this one worksheet tonight, rather than saying, oh, okay, I'm going to work for 3 hours tonight, and actually only get half the worksheet done or read half the amount of pages that you're meant to. So what I think at the start of the year, it's good to get into the habit of setting yourself work-based goals rather than time-based goals, because time doesn't mean anything if you're not using that time right, which a lot of us do. Finally, to end the video off, I know it's hard to be motivated throughout the year. It's hard to keep that level of motivation high, and sometimes you just feel like you just cannot be bothered doing anything, and you end up leaving everything to the last minute, which a lot of people, including myself, do. To stay focused is to realise how blessed and how lucky we actually are to be in a position that we're able to educate ourselves, that we're able to do something that we love, and we're able to pursue a career that we enjoy, and that we're on a journey into fulfilling that dream. A lot of people, especially women around the world, do not get an opportunity to be educated, don't get an opportunity to go to high school, college or university. Even though exams are a bit of a downer, if you look at the bigger picture, it's only a small part of it, and we should actually try and enjoy this opportunity that we've been given. And just thinking about how lucky I am motivates me, and I hope it's the same for you. Here at STEM Girls, we truly believe that education is the key to success, and it's a really powerful tool to help change the world. And good luck to everyone in this new academic year. Hopefully we will smash it. Thanks for watching. Bye.